The stabbing. 30-year-old Hadi Aladid is accused of attempted murder. He's also charged with threatening to kill an NHS radiographer in a hospital. The suspect was remanded into custody. Meanwhile, concerns about further street protests and violence led to this. Rush hour has come early in Belfast today. It's only lunchtime now, but the roads are noticeably full of people heading home because schools, businesses and other workplaces have closed early. Public transport stopped too. The city centre was eerily empty by 2 o'clock, with shop windows shuttered and people reflecting on the last 2 days.
There's a terrible hush over the whole city. It is very depressing. It is very sad. What happened to that poor man was absolutely disgusting. But what's going on now, there's absolutely no need for it whatsoever.
Reminds me of the bad old days, you know, in a sense.
The conflict in Northern Ireland?
Well, yeah, these sort of things happened back then. Shops closed early, people were going home early.
The trouble tonight isn't as widespread or large-scale as 24 hours ago. But these scenes are still deeply worrying for police, politicians and many communities. Chris Page, BBC News, Belfast.
Well, one of the streets in Belfast that was at the centre of last night's violence was Lendrick Street in the east of the city. Some residents returned to their homes today. Our correspondent Sarah Gervin spoke to them about what they witnessed and about their shock over what happened in their neighbourhood.
Last night, Belfast was burning. This morning, it was still smouldering. In these streets, some have paid a high price. This family forced to flee their home under police protection. One family evacuated last night had a 2-month-old baby. And when this bus went up in flames, smoke leaked into nearby family homes.
I knew the bus was on fire next to my door. It's very difficult to understand it. They were asking me, myself, and I said, Daddy, is it because we have this color of our skin? I said, no, boys, no, it's okay. I switched off the TV because I don't know what to tell them. I'm protecting my children. I just want peace for my children.
Lendrick Street in the east of the city was the focus of targeted violence. Groups of men wearing masks attacked cars and houses they believed belonged to immigrants, with some shouting foreigners out. Social media messages had encouraged them to turn out on the streets to protest, wearing dark clothes. Some managed to escape, saying it seemed clear why their street had been singled out.
I assume because it's a street where lots of immigrants live. It was terrifying, you know. So I had to escape through the back door with my dog because it was the only option, you know. Because my front door was full on fire.
Other neighbours could only watch on as their homes and belongings went up in flames. This street, a snapshot of a violent night.
We see standing there watching your own house get burnt. That's a feeling I'll never get over. I wouldn't wish that upon no one. I understand everybody's angry. I am angry too. But then again, what's this resolve? What's this actually do? You're burning cars out, wrecking your own community.
There has been much condemnation about what happened here and in other communities last night. And there have been many calls for calm today. But the reality is, for some people, that they simply do not know when they'll be able to come home or if they'll ever come home again. One street, many lives, a shared fear about what comes next after the night that changed everything. Sarah Gervin, BBC News in Belfast.
The Sudanese man who has been charged with attempted murder arrived in Belfast in 2023. He travelled from Sudan via Paris and Dublin before crossing the border into Northern Ireland, where he claimed asylum in the UK. The route he took and the ease with which he could travel are now under close scrutiny, as Seema Katecha reports.
Let's start with how the suspect of the attack in Belfast got to Northern Ireland. As we know, he's a Sudanese national. He's said to have travelled from Sudan to Paris and then to Dublin before taking a bus to Belfast in February 2023, where he claimed asylum. 7 months later, he was given leave to remain in the UK for 5 years. According to the government, he claims to have entered Northern Ireland via the Common Travel Area, or CTA, which allows for free movement between the UK and Ireland. It's led to questions about how many are crossing the border and claiming asylum and if they could pose a threat. The government doesn't publish data specifically on the first point, but what we know is that an unknown share of 8,000 people who applied for asylum in the year to March arrived in the UK via the CTA. And last year, the Republic of Ireland's government said 87% of people wanting international protection had come from across the border in Northern Ireland, so it was a two-way issue. There's no data on the immigration status of those convicted of crimes, and this needs to be taken into account when making assumptions. But analysts say there is a link between the groups making the highest claims of asylum and those being convicted of crimes.
We have quite good data on the number of people convicted of criminal offences in the UK, and that data are broken down by nationality. When we look at some top nationalities among asylum seekers, Afghans, Iraqis, Sudanese, then we see that they're significantly more likely to be convicted of crimes in the UK than other groups and the general population.
Some are suggesting there needs to be further assessment of the impact on national security after some high-profile crimes involving foreign nationals.
I mean, the reality is that there are people coming from very, very tough parts of the world where they will have experienced trauma and violence, where for that reason they will merit protection and it will not be possible to return them. But equally, there is a risk that those people will then use extreme acts of violence.
There are lots of unknowns here and the data is scant, but this horrific crime has triggered more debate around who comes into the country and how, and what could be a consequence of that.
Well, let's go back to Belfast now, because Clive Murray has just arrived on the scene of these latest disturbances. And Clive, tell us what you can see.
Yeah, we're in the Glengormley area of North Belfast. It's predominantly loyalist. And we're behind police lines, just about 150 yards down the road there. Massive police and riot police presence there. We can see smoke rising up off in the distance, wheelie bins, all kinds of things that have been set on fire. And it's in the last couple of hours or so that the riot police used water cannon to push people further back. Now, this area was quiet last night. There was no rioting, there were no problems at all. The violence last night took place in Station Road, about a mile away from here, and the big fear with those disturbances was that there would be pockets of rioters that would join together across the area, stretching police resources. That didn't happen last night, and it seems to be isolated pockets of violence that are taking place around. What's been interesting talking to people over the last 6-7 hours, particularly in the loyalist areas, is this sense that they've been forgotten over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They have seen migration increase into their communities. They talk about customs changing, of people dressing in different ways. They talk about it being a change of culture. I put it to a lot of people that it might seem to others to be pure racism, that you're simply responding to the colour of other people's skin, and they reassured me that that wasn't the case. They talked about being a complete change of culture, a situation that they didn't vote for, that they didn't ask for, and that they're now protesting against. A lot of the people I've spoken to, they've been critical of those who have sought to cause violence and burnt people's homes and cars and so on. They say that the majority of people are peaceful, but what they want to get across is their level of anger, they say, at uncontrolled migration as they see it, that has completely changed their communities. And this kind of thing could continue over the next few days with a lot of consequences spiralling off from that.
Clive, with the very latest there from Belfast, thank you. And Victoria, Derbyshire is going to have